Hi everyone and welcome to Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is going to be dealing with comparative advantage and the gains from international trade. You'll notice that international trade is very important for our economy because it creates a lot of challenges and a lot of implications with regard to outsourcing and how jobs are being created. Between 2004 and 2008, I think you'll find this interesting, Chinese tire companies tripled exports to the United States. In the fall of 2009, Obama responded with a tariff, which is a tax on imported goods from China of about 35% of the tire values. Now, why? Why would this protect U.S. producing firms with fewer tire industry workers that would lose their jobs? China responded by raising tariffs on some U.S. goods. So in 2012, President Obama allowed the tariff to expire, and basically the tire imports from China started to rise again. And you'll notice that this competition between countries and the role of tariffs creates a lot of challenges. And these lot of challenges in the market will allow for higher prices basically by consumers. So we got a couple terms that we want to focus on. A tariff is a tax imposed by a government on imports. The money received from a tariff goes to the government in terms of government revenue. Imports are things that are bought domestically but produced in other countries. Exports are goods and services produced domestically but sold in other countries. Now look at this dramatic growth. You notice there's been a large growth of exports and imports in our economy, a large growth. When you look at international trade, it has becoming much more of an important part of the American economy. The problem that we're facing is the U.S. has a large trade deficit. When you focus on the trade deficit, you'll notice that we look at a lot of differences between imports and exports. And these differences will create us being more dependent on other countries. And the reason why we'll be dependent on other countries is because we'll have to be able to produce more in those other countries, and that creates the big challenge that we're facing. So we have to figure out how to become more dependent on the imports and exports that we're doing. So look at the percentage of world exports. So you notice that the Chinese economy, it's basically the world's largest exporter. 9.3% of the world exports go to China. China took over the lead from the U.S., which accounts for about 9.2%. China probably will be the largest economy in the world as well. But exports is one of the big advantages right there. Now, however, trade is less important to the U.S. than it is to other countries, largely due to the relative size of the economies. So look right here, in terms of GDP, we're a very small portion in terms of our exports and imports as a percentage of GDP. Look at these countries, the Belgium and the Netherlands. They have a lot of challenges they're going to face. And the challenges that they're facing are their economy relies on export and importing, which if any other countries go into recession, this will create a lot of challenges for them to be able to survive. Now let me go to specialization. Why don't we see complete specialization? And we talked about this in Chapter 2. Specialization does not occur on all goods and services. So some firms are going to be forced to sell and produce these goods and services at small amounts. And the production of these goods and services are going to involve a lot of challenges. But we are focused on how to look at opportunity costs and the decisions that are made. Now, tastes for products differ. Countries might have comparative advantage in different subtypes of products, but they might not want to produce those products. So they're going to get them from other countries. That's the key. Now, we've made it appear that international trade is going to be good for everybody, but this is only true on a national level. Some individuals, firms, and consumers will lose out to international trade, like Japanese tablet computers and their workers, American cell phone firms and their workers. And when this occurs, the government might put in what's called a quota. And a quota will limit the amount of imports that are brought into a country. But many of these policies are developed to help protect domestic jobs? So those are some of the concepts that we're going to be looking at this week as I look forward to your effort.